Hello, welcome back to Boolean Machine LiveNoding. In this episode, I'm sharing this node 3 experimental, basically using geometry nodes and grease pencil and also SVerchok to kind of use it as a carving machine. Okay, so you can see this there's like grease pencil drawn all over the place, and the things just carve itself into the default cube. So the way it works, if I select the grease pencil object and go to draw mode and start drawing, whenever you update the frame, it's gonna cut itself into the default cube. So it's almost like sculpting, but you are in object mode, and you can actually animate something like this. So if you're drawing this pencil like that, if you copy this one and then continue drawing, you can make some kind of animations. Maybe if this thing is like moving, for example, we probably need to use onion skinning, but this is grease pencil kind of carving into the default cube. So it would be nice at some point if we can kind of like accumulate the result. So maybe maybe in the near future it's not gonna be grease pencil, it could be like a particle system, but we will see. So let me show you the breakdown. So you will need SVerchok add-on already installed. So with SVerchok, basically, so I started with the default cube and grease pencil, and I enable grease pencil snapping on the surface. So, and with SVerchok, I simply use this method to resample the grease pencil. Maybe at some point we will have like geometry nodes to resample grease pencil in real time. But for now, we actually have a bit of control here. You can see this is the curve that's being generated on the fly from SVerchok, and we can actually resample this, but I just keep it to medium, and I let the geometry nodes handle the rest. So the curve, from this curve, I want to turn it into a mesh, and I'm using this cube. This is the second default cube, and this is geometry nodes on the fly, kind of resampling it, and then turning it into volume and into a mesh. So this, let me reduce this, reduce the density and also the radius, keep it to 0.5. Oops, that's actually too big. 0.05. Now you can see what's going on. If I remove this amplitude, it's gonna keep the line. So this is gonna be our cutter for our default cube. So from grease pencil to curve, resample the curve, curve to mesh. I'm using point to volume, volume to mesh, but in reality you can also use point instancing if you feel like doing so. Like maybe I could try let's try using another cube, make this smaller. So looking at the cutter object, instead of using point to volume, volume to mesh, we're gonna use point instance. This is gonna be using cube number 3. Plug this in. This might take a while. Okay, that's the cube being generated, and that thing is cutting our objects. So that might be what you want. You just need to be careful because it might generate too many points. So this is like of course just a Boolean being generated on the fly. This point instance, we can randomize the scale. Look at that. So if we check what we have so far, yeah, this might take a while if you have like lots of grease pencil lines, because it's basically doing the processing underneath, like Boolean cutting and etc. I think this one, oops, yeah, a little bit heavy. So the default cube, and there's a second cube and the third cube. The second cube is cutting the original default cube, but everything is basically using a grease pencil. So let's go back to point to volume, volume to mesh. This is simpler. We can use adaptive and maybe increase the voxel amount, increase the radius a little bit. And increase the count. So if we go back to our grease pencil, draw mode, and start drawing, it's gonna do the cutting for us. Oops. Okay, maybe occasionally it will fail. So interesting whether you can just draw random stroke. This one, and you have this kind of abstract look. Of course, you can always use sculpting after you do this. But the funny thing is that, okay, this is geometry nodes. We can apply it, right? We still have the default cube, and then we can use the same geometry nodes, and hopefully we can do another carving. Maybe we need to delete the previous grease pencil. And start painting. There you go. So we are doing like a second layer on top of it. I think this is pretty cool. Just a experimental proof of concept. In the future, we're gonna try maybe using particle once again and try to make it, try to make it like growing. But anyhow, I think that's really cool. That's the fact that you can do this very, very quickly. The Boolean is very fast, and you can convert grease pencil into Boolean cutter. All right, so thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.